It started with a signal. A faint, trembling signal that came from far beyond the edge of known space. For weeks, scientists had listened to strange noises, thinking it was just static, just the random hum of the void. But then the signal repeated itself. It was different. It carried a message, a voice that spoke in words, not just sounds. Dr. Benjamin Harper was the first to recognize it. He had spent years studying interstellar communications. The message was old, and its sender was desperate. The Aelari, a peaceful alien race that no human had ever met, were pleading for help. Their words were simple but heavy with fear. "We are dying. Please, help us." When the message reached the United Earth Council, the room fell silent. Leaders from all nations gathered around the central table, looking at each other with a mix of disbelief and worry. Admiral Claire Dunn, a veteran of many space missions, was the first to speak. "This is serious," she said. "If the Aelari are asking for help, it means something very bad is happening. They would never contact us if it wasn't urgent." Dr. Harper nodded. "Yes, Admiral. Their technology is advanced, but they avoid direct contact with humans. They have always called Earth a death world. That was why they never reached out before. And now they are asking for help." A murmur ran through the council chamber. "Death world?" asked Senator David Lane. "What does that even mean?" "It means they see us as dangerous," Dr. Harper explained. "They feared our capacity to destroy, to survive. To them, humans are unpredictable. They avoided us for a reason. And now, they are asking for help. That changes everything." The council debated for hours. Some leaders were wary, worried that answering the call could bring danger to Earth. Others argued that humanity had a responsibility. If anyone in the galaxy needed help, and humans could give it, then they should act. Captain Laura Hill, a respected officer in the United Earth Fleet, listened quietly from the back of the room. She had faced impossible odds before. She had led missions into uncharted systems, survived attacks that had killed entire crews, and returned to Earth with her team intact. She knew that humans were strong, and she also knew that fear should not guide decisions. Finally, it was decided. Earth would respond. A fleet would be sent to aid the Aelari. It would be a show of human skill, courage, and determination. The fleet would be led by Captain Hill herself. The next days were a whirlwind. Ships were prepared for departure, weapons were inspected, and engineers worked around the clock to integrate alien designs into human technology. The Aelari had sent technical data with their message. Humans studied it carefully, amazed at the complexity and ingenuity of the alien designs. Within days, small improvements were made to human ships. Weapons were more precise, shields were stronger, and engines were more efficient. Meanwhile, the news of the call for help spread across Earth. Citizens watched broadcasts showing the first human fleet preparing to leave the Sol system. Many felt pride, others fear. For some, the idea of humans leaving Earth to fight in a distant war was terrifying. But most understood that this was humanity's chance to show the galaxy what humans could do. On the deck of the flagship Horizon Star, Captain Hill walked among her crew. Young officers, some barely out of training, looked at her with nervous energy. Veteran sailors, hardened by years of space travel, nodded respectfully as she passed. "Remember," she said, stopping near the center of the deck, "we are not just going to help the Aelari. We are going to show them that humans do not give up. We are strong, and we fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. Stay focused, follow your training, and trust each other. That is how we survive." The crew nodded, understanding the weight of her words. The Horizon Star and the rest of the fleet were ready. The departure was scheduled at dawn. The fleet gathered in orbit, engines humming, weapons systems online. The Aelari envoy arrived just before departure. She was called Lyria, a tall figure with translucent skin and eyes that shimmered like liquid silver. Her voice was soft, but urgent. "Thank you for answering our call," Lyria said. "Our worlds are under attack by the Celt Dominion. They are ruthless. Our defenses are failing. If your fleet does not arrive, our species will be destroyed." Captain Hill bowed slightly. "We will do everything we can. Your people will not face this threat alone. Humanity does not turn away from those in need." Lyria's eyes glimmered. "You are different from what our people expected. We feared humans for centuries. You have been called Deathworlders, dangerous, unstoppable. Yet you show mercy and courage. I do not know if my people deserve this." Captain Hill shook her head. "It is not about deserving. It is about doing what is right. We help because it is the right thing to do." At dawn, the fleet left Earth orbit. Ships of all sizes glided silently into the blackness of space, leaving behind the blue planet that had always been their home. Citizens watched from orbit stations, television broadcasts, and news feeds. For the first time, the galaxy would see humans not just as survivors, but as warriors for justice. As the fleet moved deeper into space, the Aelari envoy briefed Captain Hill on the situation. "The Celt Dominion attacks quickly," Lyria explained. "They consume planets, destroy populations, and enslave survivors. Our attempts to resist have failed. You must be careful. Your ships may be strong, but they will face overwhelming numbers." Captain Hill nodded. "We expected that. Humans have faced impossible odds before. We adapt, we fight, and we survive." The journey was long. The fleet traveled through sectors of space that were uncharted, moving past asteroid fields, dark nebulae, and remnants of destroyed colonies. The Aelari had sent coordinates for safe passages, but even these were fraught with danger. Pirates and scavengers lurked in the void, and natural hazards tested the fleet at every turn. During the travel, crews formed bonds. Young officers learned from veterans. Engineers worked alongside alien specialists, exchanging knowledge. Pilots trained in new maneuvers, preparing for combat they could not yet see. Each day brought the fleet closer to the Aelari worlds, and each day brought them closer to the inevitable confrontation. Captain Hill often stood on the bridge of the Horizon Star, watching the stars pass by. She thought about Earth, about her family, and about the lives that would be affected if they failed. But she also thought about her crew, about their skill and courage. She knew they could do this. Humanity had never backed down from a challenge, and they would not start now. One evening, as the fleet drifted through a quiet sector, alarms suddenly sounded. Sensors had detected a Celt scout ship approaching at high speed. Captain Hill ordered the fleet into defensive formation. The small ship burst from the darkness, sleek and deadly, its weapons glinting in the distant starlight. "Open communications," Captain Hill ordered. A moment later, a harsh voice filled the bridge. "Humans, you dare enter Celt space, you will die." Captain Hill leaned forward, her eyes sharp. "We are not afraid. We come to defend those who cannot defend themselves. If you attack, we will respond. But know this, we do not retreat." The scout hesitated for a moment, then fired. Energy beams streaked across space, striking the lead ships. Human crews responded instantly, returning fire with precision. The scout tried to maneuver, but human tactics were faster, smarter, and relentless. Within moments, the scout was disabled, drifting silently into the void. The fleet had survived its first encounter. Captain Hill knew this was only the beginning. Ahead lay the Aelari worlds, the Celt Dominion, and battles that would test humanity to its limits. But for now, the fleet had proven one thing. Humans do not back down, and they do not leave the helpless to die. As the fleet continued toward the Alari system, the message was clear. Humanity had answered the call. The galaxy would remember that the so-called Deathworlders had risen not to conquer, but to protect. And in the silence of space, among the stars, a new chapter of human history had begun. The fleet moved steadily through the darkness of space. Captain Laura Hill watched the stars, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing on her shoulders. Every ship carried hundreds of souls, each person trusting her judgment, her ability to lead. The Alari worlds were still many light years away, but the Kelt dominion was close, and every day in space brought them nearer to the inevitable battle. Inside the Horizon Star, the crew trained constantly. Pilots practiced complex maneuvers in simulators, learning to anticipate enemy patterns they had never seen. Engineers worked to integrate Alari technology into the human ships. Shield systems were modified, engines recalibrated, and weapon targeting improved. Even the Alari specialists were surprised at how quickly humans adapted and improved upon their designs. "You are very fast learners," said Lyria one evening, watching engineer Oliver Kane fine-tune a plasma cannon. "Your people take our designs and improve them almost instantly." Oliver smiled. "We do what we must to survive, and we do it well. That is what humans do." Captain Hill gathered her senior officers for a strategy meeting. The room was tense. Each officer understood that this was more than a training exercise. Soon, they would face the Kelt Dominion in real combat, and mistakes could cost hundreds of lives. "We are not just traveling to help the Alari," Captain Hill said. "We are showing the galaxy what humans can do. Our fleet is strong, but the Kelt are many. They are ruthless. We must be faster, smarter, and more coordinated than they expect." Commander Ryan Carter, the fleet's chief tactician, nodded. "We can do this. Our simulations show that with combined human and Alari strategies, we can outmaneuver their formations. Their attacks are brutal, but predictable if we anticipate them correctly." Captain Hill leaned back. "Good. Train hard. Learn every tactic. Trust each other. That is how we survive." The days passed quickly. The fleet traveled through sectors filled with asteroid fields and frozen gas clouds. Scouts mapped the area, while engineers repaired minor damage caused by collisions with small debris. Despite the routine, tension ran high. Every officer knew that even a minor mistake could be deadly when facing the Kelt. On the Horizon Star, cadets and veterans alike practiced emergency drills. Fire suppression teams ran through simulations of explosions in engine rooms. Medical personnel practiced triage on simulated casualties. Every crew member prepared, knowing that their lives would soon depend on these skills. In the hangar bays, pilots like Maya Long and Jason Cole trained in zero-gravity simulations. Their small strike craft darted between obstacles, practicing evasive maneuvers and coordinated attacks. Lyria watched, impressed by their skill. "You fight with courage and precision," she said. "Your species is not what we expected. We feared humans for your strength, but now I see your courage is even greater." Maya smiled, brushing back her hair. "We fight because it is the right thing to do. That is all that matters." During the long nights, Captain Hill walked the decks of the Horizon Star, checking on crew morale. She spoke to engineers, medics, pilots, and soldiers. Each one had a story, a reason for being here. Some had families back on Earth. Some had lost loved ones in earlier conflicts. All of them were determined to protect the helpless and fight the Kelt Dominion. One evening, she met with Lieutenant Natalie Ford, a communications officer. Natalie looked worried. "Captain," she said quietly, "our sensors picked up a small fleet of Kelt ships ahead. They are moving fast, but they do not know we are here yet." Captain Hill nodded. "How many?" "About 15, but they are heavily armed." "Prepare the fleet," Hill ordered. "We are going to test our strategies in a controlled engagement. This is practice, but it will show us how ready we are for the real battle." The fleet moved into formation, weapons systems online, shields active. The Celt ships appeared as small dots on the sensors, growing larger with each passing minute. Human pilots took positions, practicing coordinated maneuvers they had drilled countless times. The first shots were fired by the Celt. Energy beams streaked across space, but human ships dodged and returned fire with precision. The small engagement tested every skill the crew had learned. Pilots executed complex maneuvers, engineers adjusted shields in real time, and soldiers coordinated attacks from multiple directions. Within hours, the Celt ships were either disabled or retreating. Casualties were minimal, but the exercise proved a point. Humans were ready. The fleet could fight with skill, adapt quickly, and survive against an enemy that believed them weak. After the skirmish, Captain Hill gathered her crew. "You did well today," she said. "This was not just a fight. It was proof that we can do what others cannot. The Celt Dominion will soon learn that humans do not surrender. We fight, we survive, we protect." Lyria approached her, eyes shining. "Your people. I do not know how to describe it. We feared you. Yes, but now we see you in a new light. You are not just fighters. You are protectors, courageous beyond measure." Captain Hill nodded. "We fight because it is right. That is all anyone needs to know." The fleet continued its journey, growing stronger with each passing day. Engineers discovered ways to improve weapon targeting, pilots learned to anticipate enemy attacks, and soldiers perfected boarding tactics for space combat. Humans and Aelari worked side by side, forming bonds that would last through the coming war. One night, while traveling through a dark sector, scouts reported an unusual signal. It was not Celt, but it carried a warning. An entire system had been destroyed, planets burned, and millions of inhabitants dead. The Celt Dominion's reach was greater than anyone had imagined. Captain Hill stood on the bridge, looking at the devastation on the screens. Her jaw tightened. "This is what we are facing," she said quietly. "We are not fighting a small enemy. We are fighting a force that destroys without mercy. We must be ready. Every ship, every crew member, every plan must be perfect. We cannot fail." The crew nodded, understanding the gravity of their mission. Fear was present, but it was overshadowed by determination. They were humans, and humans did not give up. As the fleet approached the edge of the Aelari space, scouts detected the first signs of Celt forces. Small patrols moved between stars, searching for resistance. Captain Hill ordered the fleet into stealth mode. Ships minimized their signatures, sensors heightened, and weapons stood by. The humans would strike first, using surprise and strategy rather than brute force. Captain Hill spent the night planning. She studied maps, analyzed Celt movements, and coordinated with Ryan Carter and other tacticians. Plans were made, backup plans prepared, and contingency measures taken. Every angle was considered. Humans survived because they prepared, adapted, and never underestimated the enemy. Morning came, and with it the first contact with the Celt forward patrol. Small ships emerged from the darkness, attacking quickly. Human pilots reacted instantly, engaging with precision. Energy beams collided in bursts of light, and explosions rocked the void. Despite the intensity, the fleet moved as one. Pilots executed maneuvers they had drilled for weeks. Engineers adjusted shields in real time. Soldiers fired from boarding pods, disabling enemy vessels. Within hours, the Celt patrol was defeated. Many ships drifting powerless in space. The humans had shown their first real taste of combat. It was not a victory, yet they were far from the Celt stronghold, but it proved that the fleet could fight, adapt, and survive. Captain Hill looked at her crew, proud and determined. This is only the beginning. Ahead lies the Dominion, vast and ruthless. But we are ready. We are humans. We fight. We protect. And we will not fail. As the fleet moved deeper into enemy territory, the Aolari watched in awe. They had feared humans, yes, but now they saw a species capable of courage, strength, and quick thinking. Humans were not only warriors, they were protectors of the helpless, a force that could stand against the galaxy's greatest threats. And so, the journey continued. Every day, the fleet grew stronger. Every day, humans learned more about the Kelt Dominion. And every day, the galaxy moved closer to understanding that when Deathworlders rose, they rose not to conquer, but to defend. Space stretched endlessly before them, black and silent, but not empty. Sensors detected massive energy readings ahead. The Kelt Dominion had arrived first, and their presence was overwhelming. Dozens of warships patrolled the outer sectors, and massive orbital stations glowed ominously near the planets. Captain Laura Hill stood on the bridge of the Horizon Star, her eyes fixed on the main screen. Every ship in the fleet mirrored her tension. The humans had fought small patrols before, but this was different. This was the full power of the Kelt, and the scale of the enemy was unlike anything they had seen. Commander Ryan Carter stepped forward. Captain, the Kelt forces are organized. They expect resistance from the Aolari, but they have not accounted for humans. Our scouts report several weak points in their patrol lines. If we strike there, we can create a path to the inner systems. Captain Hill nodded. Good. Prepare the fleet. We will move carefully. The Aolari lives depend on us, and every action must be precise. We cannot afford mistakes. The fleet moved as one, small ships flanking the Horizon Star, larger vessels forming a protective shield around the fleet's core. Pilots whispered over comms, exchanging information and confirming maneuvers. Every crew member understood that the next few hours would define the survival of the Aolari species. The first engagement began when Kelt scouts detected the human fleet. Energy beams streaked across space, striking the outer human ships. Captain Hill's voice cut through the comms. Return fire. Hit them fast and hit them hard. Focus on disabling their engines first. Human ships moved with precision. Pilots like Maya Long and Jason Cole led small strike teams, darting between enemy fire and striking weak points. The Kelt were strong, but their tactics were predictable. Humans had studied them, learned from previous encounters, and adapted quickly. Explosions lit up the void as the first Kelt ships were disabled. Smaller vessels fled or were destroyed, their energy cores exploding in brilliant bursts. The human fleet pressed forward, exploiting every mistake, every weakness. Inside the Horizon Star, Captain Hill monitored the battle. Her eyes moved from screen to screen, following energy signatures and ship movements. Engineers reported minor damage to shields and weapons, but nothing critical. Medical teams stood ready, prepared to handle casualties. Status, she asked. Lieutenant Natalie Ford replied. Outer patrols neutralized. We have cleared a path to the inner system. Minimal losses so far. Hill nodded. Good. Maintain formation. Move carefully. And prepare for the next wave. The Kelt will not give up easily. As the fleet moved deeper into the system, the first major Kelt strike group appeared. Massive ships, bristling with weapons, advanced in formation. Their energy shields pulsed, glowing with power. The fleet tensed. This was no longer a small skirmish. It was a real battle. Captain Hill gave the order. All ships, engage. Focus on coordination. Hit their weak points, and protect our smaller vessels. We move as one. The battle erupted. Energy beams clashed, missiles streaked through space, and explosions rocked the void. Human ships maneuvered with skill, dodging attacks while striking with precision. Pilots shouted over comms, coordinating strikes and warning of incoming fire. In the midst of the battle, the Horizon Star took heavy fire. Shields flickered, warning lights flashed, and alarms sounded throughout the ship. Captain Hill remained calm, issuing orders clearly and quickly. Divert power to shields. Prepare emergency repairs. Keep firing at the enemy. We hold the line. Below deck, engineer Oliver Kane worked with his team, rerouting power and repairing damaged systems. Sparks flew as they worked. But the crew moved quickly and efficiently. Every second counted, and every repair meant the difference between life and death. Meanwhile, soldiers in boarding pods prepared for close combat. They would strike at enemy vessels from within, disabling ships from the inside. Captain Hill knew this tactic would be critical if the Celt tried to overwhelm the fleet. The battle raged for hours. Celt ships were strong, but human strategy was stronger. Pilots used hit-and-run tactics, engineers adjusted systems in real time, and soldiers struck when openings appeared. Every crew member contributed, and the fleet began to push the Celt back. At one point, a massive Celt dreadnought advanced toward the Horizon Star. Its weapons were powerful enough to destroy several ships at once. Captain Hill focused, her mind moving quickly. Strike teams, target the dreadnought's engines. Disrupt its power flow. We take it down together. Maya Long and Jason Cole led a squad of small fighters, weaving between energy beams and dodging explosions. They fired at weak points, disabling engines and shields. The dreadnought shuddered, sparks flying across its hull. "Status?" Captain Hill asked. Commander Carter replied, "Engines failing. Core destabilizing. It will be disabled in 30 seconds if we keep pressure on it." Hill gave the order. "All fire on the core. Focus everything. We finish this now." Energy beams converged on the dreadnought. Explosions tore through its hull. And finally, the massive ship drifted lifeless into space. Cheers erupted from human ships. But the battle was not over. Smaller Celt ships regrouped and launched a coordinated attack. The fleet tightened formation, covering weaker vessels and striking in waves. Pilots like Maya and Jason performed daring maneuvers, drawing enemy fire and creating openings for Allied ships to attack. Even the Alari participated. Their ships, smaller and faster, darted through enemy lines, striking with precision. Humans watched in awe as their allies fought bravely. Together, humans and Alari were stronger than either side alone. Hours passed, and the Celt were forced to retreat. Their formation broke, and many ships were destroyed or disabled. The human fleet held its ground, proving that skill, strategy, and courage could overcome even a powerful enemy. Captain Hill addressed her fleet. "You have done well. Today we faced the Celt Dominion and held our ground. This is only the beginning. There will be more battles, stronger enemies, and greater challenges. But remember this, humans do not give up. We fight, we adapt, and we survive. Protect the helpless, protect each other, and we will succeed." The fleet paused to regroup. Repairs were made, casualties tended to, and ships resupplied. Pilots rested, engineers recalibrated systems, and soldiers prepared for the next wave. The victory had come at a cost, but it proved that humans could face the Celt and survive. Lyria approached Captain Hill. "Your people. They are more than we expected. I feared humans, yes, but now I see you are more than warriors. You are protectors, leaders, and survivors. My people owe you our lives." Hill shook her head. "We do not fight for thanks. We fight because it is right. That is enough." The fleet continued deeper into the system. Ahead lay the Celt command stations and the planets under siege. Humans and Aelari worked together, sharing knowledge, improving tactics, and preparing for the next confrontation. Captain Hill spent long hours planning. Every move of the Celt was studied. Every weakness noted. She knew the next battle would be harder. The Celt would not allow humans to disrupt their control without retaliation. But the fleet was ready. Humans had adapted, trained, and proven themselves. At night, she walked the decks, speaking quietly to her crew. "Rest now," she said. "Tomorrow we continue the fight. Remember your training. Trust each other. And fight for what is right. The galaxy is watching, and we will show it what humans can do." In the dark expanse of space, the human fleet moved with determination. They were not invaders, not conquerors. They were protectors, rising against a powerful foe to defend those who could not defend themselves. And as they advanced, the galaxy began to understand that when Deathworlders rise, they rise not for power, but for justice.